SwayamPrabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Good morning, welcome back to the discussion on product architecture. So, in the last class we discussed about various portfolio architectures. So, that was what we discussed. We found that there are different types of architectures. Basically, we have unshared platforms, we have modular platforms. In modular itself we have modular generations, modular family, etc. So, the question is how do we actually decide the portfolio for a particular product. And in the last class we stopped here. We mentioned that it basically depends on the market dynamics, what the customer population is looking for and how their preferences changes and what are the variations of their preferences within the group itself. So, looking at all those aspects and of course, the cost and revenue, we need to decide the architecture. So, to do that we use an architecture selection flow chart and looking at the flow chart and then deciding okay, what will be the best architecture for a particular product can be decided. So, that is what we are going to discuss in this class, what are the ways in which we can decide product portfolio architecture. So, the flow chart is given here. So, what we need to do is to identify the customer needs. As we know, the first we look at the customer needs and prepare a list of customer needs with their importance, and then look at those important needs and then find out what is the mean and standard deviation of these needs in terms of their objective values within the customer population. So, the total population we take, suppose there are the 1000 customers you identified. For these 1000 customers, probably there may be 3 or 4 needs that you can take initially and then find out, for example, cost, the size and capabilities or processing capability, like that you can identify those needs and then find out what is the mean and standard deviation of these values of these customer needs. That is the first step. So, get a customer population distribution. So, normally when you take a distribution, it will be always following or we can actually assume it to be following a normal distribution. So, we will be getting something like this kind of a distribution. Okay. So, we will be having a mean value, the mean of the population, and then we can have a sigma, that is the standard deviation of the that particular need. So, for every need you will be able to find out a mean value and a standard deviation. That is for the whole population. If suppose there are 1000 customers you want to survey, for all the 1000 customers you try to find out what is the mean and standard deviation for each need. And then choose typical customers from different segments. So, this is another important point, we need to identify segments within the population. So, if there are 1000 people in that group, all will not belong to the same kind of a segment. For any product you will be able to segment the group, segment the total population based on some characteristics. So, the characteristic could be the age or the gender or their buying capacity or their occupation. So, there can be many ways you can actually segment the population. So, we will be able to identify the low income group and high income group, or the student population and employed population, or male and female, or elderly people and young people. So, this way you will be able to identify segments. So, you need to identify the segments based on the how much affinity they have within that group and how much they differ from the other groups also. If there is a lot of difference between these two groups, then we make them as 2 segments or 3 segments depending on the number of segments that you can identify. So, try to identify segments and then choose typical customers from these segments and trace these values over a period of time. So, this is a bit tricky one because you want to know how these customers within the segment change their preferences over a period of time. So, a young person who is looking for a phone today will not be having the same kind of a preference after 1 year or 2 years. So, we need to have some idea what is his preferences or how his preferences are changing over a period of time. So, this one you will get only through some kind of observation of the market, or looking the previous generation product and the current generation product and how people change their preferences, or asking some questions to the customers. So, looking doing this kind of an analysis, you will be getting some information about how these values change over a period of time. So, how this sigma and mu will change over a period of time. There is a large variation, then you need to think of a different architecture. If there is no variation over a period of time, then the architecture will be different. So, that is the next steps. You identify the values over a period of time, and then calculate the mean and standard deviation across users for each need. So, for each need you need to identify the customer's mean and standard deviation. And the last one is, so for each need create tables of means and deviation for segment usage. So, this one was the population usage. Now, within the population we identify 3 segments. Segment 1 which may be all low income people, segment 2 may be high income group, or segment 2 can be medium income, and segment 3 can be a high income group. So, we can actually divide the whole population into 3 segments, and then within each segment you try to find out what is their mean and standard deviation. So, a low income group will be having some values for the cost and the size and things like that, but high income group will be having a different value for the cost. So, we need to find out what is the mean for each segment, mu 1, mu 2, mu 3, etc. For each segment we try to find out the mean and standard deviation for each need. So, you will be getting a table like this. You will be having the population mean and population sigma, and in addition to that we will be getting the mean and standard deviation for different segments also. So, now we have a lot of information collected through customer surveys. You have the population mean and population standard deviation for all the needs. Then we have the variation of these values of mu and sigma over a period of time for each need, and for segments also we have this mu and sigma for each need. So, with all this information we can actually choose an architecture based on this information, and again we use an algorithm to do that. So, this is the flow chart of selection. So, here we use a very simple algorithm to choose the architecture. So, once you have all this information, we go to this algorithm and then try to see how to select the portfolio architecture. So, the algorithm is like this. So, you determine the population and segment statistics as we mentioned in the previous slide. The statistics basically the mu and standard deviation, that is the mean and the standard deviation for all the needs for population, segments, and the time variations, or the variation over a period of time. Now, we will ask the question, is population mean fixed with respect to time? That is there a variation of the population mean over a period of time? That is, today the population mean says that the cost of a mobile phone should be 15,000. That is for example you take, that is 15,000 is the cost that people are ready to buy to pay for a phone. Now, if this 15,000 remains throughout same for next year also, or there will be lot of changes in the next year? If they say that okay, there is no change in the next year, or after 5 years also people will be ready to pay 15,000 rupees for the phone, or after 1 year they will be ready to pay 20,000, next year they will be ready to pay 25,000. If that is the way, then we know that the mean actually changes over a period of time. So, if there is a change over a period of time, that is the mean and fixed population mean and fixed with respect to time. No, this is the change. Suppose there is a change. Suppose when they say no, means it is not fixed. So, that means the mu and standard mean and the standard deviation are not fixed, or sorry, the mean, only the mean. The mean is not fixed. I mean the mean value of that particular need actually changes over a period of time. Then we should go for a modular generation platform. So, the mean value of the need is changing over a period of time. That means the customer preferences changes over a period of time. Then we will go for a modular generation platform. So, this actually comes from the previous analysis. We had an analysis of the mean value over a period of time, and if there is a change over a period of time, then go for a modular generation platform. So that you will be able to modify the current product to the next generation without making too much of changes. So only a particular module or 1 or 2 modules need to be changed, so that it will become the next generation product. So with looking at which need is changing, and the module corresponding to that can actually be modified to get the new product. That is the modular generation platform. Now suppose it is fixed, there is no change in the mean, or the change in the mean value is very small, not very significant, then we can look at the sigma value now. Okay. So you know that this is the distribution can actually be represented using a mean and standard deviation. So this is the way. So if this is the mu and this is the sigma. Now you look at the population sigma large, is the population sigma is very large. So it can actually be like this. So the distribution can be like this also, that is you still have the same mean, but the sigma can be small. In this case the sigma is very small. So we look at, is the sigma is very large. When you say sigma is very large, that means there is a lot of variation, though there is a mean value, but the requirement of the customer varies widely. So that is what actually mean by a small, I mean a large standard deviation. So we will look at if there is a large sigma, if the sigma is very large or if sigma is very small. If the sigma is large, means the population has varied requirements. So that it cannot be said that okay, everyone is looking for the same kind of a feature, there is large variation within the population. Then if there is no large variation, if the variation is very small, then we can go for a fixed unshared portfolio. So you do not need to really go for a modular architecture, because everyone is asking for same thing and there is not much of variation in the requirement of the customer, then we do not need to have too many products in the market. So we can actually have a fixed unshared architecture. So because the requirement of the customer, all the customers are almost same and there is a large market for that, then we can go for a fixed unshared architecture. Now suppose there is a large variation, the sigma is very large, then we look at, because when you say that large variation is there, that means there are people with varied requirements. Then we look at what is their segment sigma, that is how each segment is performing. So now we will be having multiple segments in the group. So we can have out of this total population, we can actually find out different segments, and then we look at each segment, what is the mu for each segment. So this may be one segment and this may be another segment and this may be another segment. So each one will be having a different mean and standard deviation, and that is why we get total population is very the sigma is very large. And therefore do segment sigma equal to population sigma. If segment sigma and population sigma are the same, that means the variation within the population and within the segment are the same, then we go will go, I mean in this, if that is large variation is there in population sigma and segment sigma, that means even if you take a segment, within the segment also there is a large variation. So 1000 people you take, there is a large variation, and 100 people also you take, people are not happy with the similar thing, they also have large variation. That means there is too much of variation within the whole population. So if there is a large variation, then we go for an adjustable portfolio architecture, because one product or few products will not satisfy the people, because each segment has got again large variation. So one product or few products won't satisfy, for you need to go for an adjustable architecture. That means you can adjust the architecture depending on the customer requirement, it can be have large variation possible, and that is not there if the segment sigma is not equal to population sigma, then we go for a modular product family. So a modular product family will be preferred when the population sigma is very large, but segment sigmas are not very large, segment sigmas are small. That means you can actually identify segments where the variations are very small, then for each segment we will be able to produce products. That is basically we go for a modular product family. So you can have few members in the family, and each segment, each product will be designed in such a way that it can actually meet the requirement of a particular segment of customer. So that is the way how we decide the portfolio architecture of a product. I hope you got it. So, just to explain once again. So, we look at the population mean, sorry, first we get all the information, then see whether the population mean is changing over a period of time. So, if the population mean is changing over a period of time, it is clear that you need to go for a modular generation platform, because today's product will not satisfy the customer in the next year or after 2 years. So, we need to go for a modular generation platform. And there is not variation, then of course, you need to think of modular family products or modular architecture. Then we will see, look at the sigma, population sigma is very large. If the population sigma is very large, that means there is large variation within the population itself, then you cannot go for a single product. Or if the variation is very small, all the people or most of the people are looking for a particular feature or a particular value in that feature, then we can actually give that one only one product, and then that can be made large numbers. So, then we will go for a fixed unshared portfolio. The population sigma is not large, they are actually very small sigma, variation is very small, then we go for a fixed unshared portfolio. Now, if the population sigma is large and the segment sigma is also large, that means there is large variation within the population and within the segment also. That means no product is no single product or no few products are going to satisfy the customer. So, in that case we have to go for a adjustable portfolio architecture. That means large variation within the group and within the segments. Therefore, we cannot go for a modular family, you need to go for a adjustable portfolio, and the segment variations are very small compared to the population variation, then we can go for a modular product family. So, this is the way how we can actually identify the portfolio architecture for a product based on the customer's requirements. Okay. I hope you understood. We will take 1 or 2 examples and then see how we can apply this logic to get the portfolio selected. So, we will take the example of a very simple toaster to toast breads, especially a lot of use for such products. You can see that people will be buying toaster for making breakfast most of the time, and suppose you are after completing your course, you go for a job, and then you are staying alone or you are staying with your friends in an apartment. You would like to have breakfast in the morning, you prepare breakfast and go to your work, and the easiest thing is to have bread and toast bread and then have bread butter or something and then use it. So, you will be looking for a toaster so that you can actually quickly get your breakfast done. So, your requirement here is that you are not looking for a very high quality good looking toaster, you are looking for something which will actually meet your requirement. Just to meet their requirements, you are not going to use it for a long time, and you may throw it after 1 or 2 years also, and you do not want to spend too much money for that, and you are not worried about the quality of toasting and all. Okay, somehow you want to get it toasted. So, that is maybe your requirement as a bachelor and or staying with your friends. But you take the case of a housewife who is actually is having a husband and 2 kids at home, and she wants to make bread at home and for breakfast, and she is also looking for a toaster, and her requirement will be that she wants it to be good quality. She doesn't want to replace it very often, she doesn't want to repair it very often. She is looking for a very reliable good quality product which will do good toasting also. So, her requirement is that even if it is slightly costly, she doesn't mind, she is looking for a good quality good product. Okay. Maybe the number of slices 2 may be sufficient, because the requirement is also not very huge. And you take the same case of a hostel or a restaurant, they also need a toaster because they want to serve breakfast to the customers. Their requirement is that they would like to have large number of slices toasted in a short time. So, their requirement is they want number of slices to be toasted to be more, and they do not mind paying money for that, because they can always make it from the business. So, they do not worry about the cost, they do not worry about the size of it. They can also have big size, they do not mind, but they would like to have it fast and good quality, and number of slices also more. So, now if you look at the requirement, the customer population of toaster, you can actually see that there is a large variation. So, bachelors will be looking for something, housewives will be looking for something, mess or restaurants will be looking for something. Now, we need to see how do we actually decide what kind of a toaster can be brought into the market, or a company is interested in introducing a toaster in the market. They want to know what should be the architecture of the product, which will actually meet the customer's satisfaction. So, what they do, they prepare a customer need list. So, what are the important things the customer is looking for in this toaster? So, this is from the point of view of the user's point of view, as well as for the designer to understand the requirements. So, one thing may be the cost, definitely cost may be one important criteria. The second may be the number of slices it can toast. The third may be the quality of the toast, the quality of the product or the output coming from the product, and then maybe the size may be another criteria. So, you need to identify all those customers needs and then find out the variation of these needs also. Okay. So, now we can take that this a number of slices it can toast is one requirement, inexpensive, compact and uniformly toasted result, that is the quality of toasting. So, this can be considered as the needs that we would like to consider when we decide on the architecture. And the weightage is okay, which one is more important, which one is less important. So, 4 is considered to be the more weightage and 3 is less weightage, like that. Now, we look at okay, how is this varying over for the population, customer population. Okay, so, we have suppose we have 1000 people interviewed, you want to take the population and then find out what is their requirement each one. So, what is the requirement of number of slices, what is the cost they are ready to pay, and what is the size they are looking for, and what is the quality of toasting they are looking for. So, this is what is needed from the market. And in this case, because toaster is not something which actually changes its technology over very short time. So, we may not be really looking for the changes over a period of time. So, in this case it is not really needed, because toasters technology or the customer's requirement of a toaster is not going to change rapidly. Therefore, we do not consider the modular generation in this case, and therefore, we do not really look into the variation of mean over a period of time. I mean, if you feel that a product requires that to be considered, then we need to definitely take that also. Now, identify the market segment. So, that is the next term. So, we have the population and we need to identify the market segments. So, as I mentioned, the market segments can be considered into 3 or 4 segments depending on how you want to divide the total population. So, here I can say that okay, those are who are looking for a low quality product or a low income group, or as I mentioned bachelors and those who are staying in hostels or I mean rented apartments, they will be looking for some product, and housewives will be looking for something and restaurants will be looking for something. So, we can actually divide this group into mainly 3. First we call it as a low price segment, and then the other one is the high end segment, that those who are actually looking for a good quality product, they are ready to pay for a high price for that, that is the high end segment, mainly the housewives and family people. And then there is the high capacity segment. High capacity segment is the restaurants and mess and hostels and places like that. So, we can actually identify there are 3 segments in this case. Now, what we need to do is to survey the customers for the need target values. So, for each customer you try to find out what is their target value. For example, you ask all the people, so what is the price you are ready to pay for low price segment, high end segment, high capacity segment, and then you find out the total population also, and find out what is the price they are ready to pay, and what is the number of slices they are looking for, and what is the size they are looking for and what is the quality of toss they are looking for. Okay. And then survey segments for time variation. So, if needed you can survey it for time variation, but in this case since it is not very critical we do not really need to do, but general case we need to do the time variation also. And calculate the mean and standard deviation across users for each need. For each need you try to find out what is the mean value and standard deviation, and then decide on the portfolio based on the analysis. So, then you use the architecture that we discussed and then decide what should be the portfolio to be used. Okay. So, in this case let us see how can we do this. So, we will see that this is the need, and then we will say the population. So, total population we will try to find out the mean and sigma, that is the mean value and standard deviation, and then we look for each segment. So, the low price segment, high end segment and high capacity segment. For each one we will try to find out mean and sigma values, and this we need to do for each need. So, let us take one need, first need, and see that number of slices it can toss. So, we are saying that we can give an option of 1, 2 or 4. I mean assume that you already suggested 1, 2, 4 or the customers gave based on their own requirement, whatever may be, we can identify the total we can get from the total population, and we found that the population is actually looking for 2 and plus or minus 1. Okay. So, that is generally the whole population is asking for slice 2. So, there is a large need for 2 slice toasters, and the variation is not that high, but of course, it is plus or minus 1. So, somebody says 1 is sufficient for me, somebody says no I would like to have 3 or 4. So, average if you take you will see that it is 2 plus or minus 1. So, if I plot it I can actually say that it is like this. So, 1, 2, 3, 4 like this. So, I can say that this is so this is the 2, this is the population mean and standard deviation. Now, you take the low price segment. So, low price segment also says that the same 2 and plus or minus 1. So, the low price also is almost the same 2 plus or minus 1, and high end segment says high end segment is the housewife and the family people. So, they are telling they are also 2, that their requirement is also 2, but then their sigma is very 0. That means, they are actually saying that this is our requirement, that is the 2, but the standard deviation is 0. So, it is almost like the same as straight line here. So, that is the requirement. So, here they have 2 and 0 as the mean and standard deviation. Now, you come to the high capacity segment, they say that our requirement is this is 4. So, sigma is almost 0. So, it is almost like a straight line. So, they want only 4, they do not want anything else. So, you can see the high capacity segment says their requirement is 4 slices, and the high end segment says that their requirement is 2, but low price says that we are ready with 2 plus or minus, we do not really care about whether it is 3, 4 or 2, and their requirement is, I mean they are worried more about something else. So, this is the case for the number of slices, and overall population is 2 plus or minus 1. So, you can see that the low price and high end will be happy with 2, but high capacity will not at all be happy with a 2 slice one. They do not really want 2 slice, they want only a 4 slice product, which is very obvious because they are into serving more number of customers and they would like to have high capacity for the product. So, now let us look at the other things. Now, we look at the price. So, now the price again you can see the variation. So, you can suppose you had suggested you gave for 5,000, 2,500 and 1,000, is that the range you suggested to the customer, or the customer, based on the customers you can get the value. But in this case, assume that the population, okay, we can get this from the surveys. The population mean is 2500 with plus or minus 500 rupees. So, suppose this is 1000 2000 etc. 3000 4000 5000. So, the population mean is around 2500, so plus or minus 500. So, their requirement is something like this. So, this is the population mean, but the low price segment, says that they are looking for only for 1000 thing. So, their thing is 1000 plus or minus 200. So, it is almost like this, they have a 1000 as the requirement. Now, so this is 1000 plus or minus 200, that is for the price of the product, and here high end says they are looking for 5000, they do not mind paying high amount for this. So, there it is around 5000. So, their requirement is like this 5000 plus or minus. So, they do not mind paying large money for this. So, their requirement is like this 5000 plus or minus, that is for the high end segment, and high capacity also the same thing. So, the high capacity segment also telling this is the requirement. Now, you can see there is a clear differentiation between these two. So, population, overall population, if you take, the mean value is 2500, but the low price is asking for 1000 rupee product, high end is asking for 5000, and high capacity is also for asking 5000 rupees. So, there is a difference in the requirement of the customer in this case, that is the price. Now, look at the other things about the size. So, if you say that they can provide three different sizes, one is a large size 20 by 20, the other one is 6 by 20 and 6 by 10. One is very compact, 6 by 10 very compact, is a medium size and is a large size, and you ask for the customers. So, population, you can see that around 6 by 20 is their requirement, the middle value, and low price segment they do not really care what is the size, 20 by 20 or 20 by whatever it is. So, they are telling, okay, we do not care about this, so 20 by 20 is also fine, because the when it becomes more and more small, the cost may go up. So, they do not want to increase the cost. So, they are ready to go for a non-compact type. But the high end segment, they are very clear, they do not want to spend too much of space in the kitchen for this, they want a very compact product, 6 by 10 compact product in the kitchen. So, they are very clear, they will want a very compact product here. Now, high capacity, they do not mind going for a big size one, because the capacity is more important for them. So, they would like to have a high capacity one, even if the size is big, they do not really care. So, that is the way how it can actually for the size of the product. Now, the last one we will take about the uniform quality of toasting. So, quality of toasting, we say that, okay, low, medium and high. So, if I say low, medium, high as the toasting quality. So, population says that the medium quality is okay, and low price segment also medium quality is okay, but high end says that should be high quality, and the high capacity also says it should be high quality. So, you like to have a high quality product to satisfy these two customers, and this customer says, okay, I do not really care even if it is a medium quality toasting, because as I told, this customer segment is not really worried about those things, they are only more worried about the cost of the product. That is why they do not really care even if the quality is slightly less, but the other two segments really ask for a high quality product, the toasting. Now, we have all this information with us. Now, we need to take a call, okay, how do we actually decide the product, the number of products, or if you, again there are few other things also need to be taken into account, okay, how many people are there in each segment. So, if the segment size is very small, then probably it is not worth going for a product to satisfy that customer segment. So, looking at all those aspects, again you can actually take a call on how many products to be there and what should be the architecture of this product. Now, if the company decides to have only one product in the market, assume that based on the financial aspect they decide to have only one product in the market, what should be the architecture that they should choose for that product. Okay, what should be the slice, what should be the price, etc. Okay. So, if it is only one, suppose they have only one option as a one product, then they should try to go for a 2 slice product and a high quality one, not that compact, but uniform toasty. Okay. So, this will actually cover these two segments very well. Low price and high end segment can actually do this, because they are providing 2 slice and it is high quality. So, this high end segment will be happy, and not so compact. So, if they make it very compact, the price will go up. So, they do not want to make it very compact, so that the prices can still be suitable for the low price segment also. And toasting quality, they will make a uniform toasting quality, I mean that is a high quality toasting. So, this will actually meet the requirement of all the customers, and if they can actually have a pricing which actually meet the customers of both the segments, then they will be able to sell the product. So, that is the first one they can actually think of. So, they will decide to have only a 2 slice product, not a 4 slice. So, definitely this segment will be out of their market. So, they cannot really sell it to the high capacity segment, unless maybe few they will be able to sell, but not a large market for in this case. Suppose the company decides to have 2 products. So, what they do, if they have option 2, they will decide to meet these 2 segments, because low price and high end segment they would like to meet with 2 different products, one for the low price segment and one for the high price segment. And they will do not get into the high capacity segment, because that market may be very small, and therefore, they feel that this will be the best option for these 2, high quality 2 slice and a low cost 2 slice products, and that will be actually meeting the requirement of the customers. And then if they have a 3 option, of course, for each segment they can have one product. So, one product for the 4 slice and one for the other 2 segments, 4 slice and 2 slice, one high quality and one low cost. So, this way the company will be able to meet the requirements of the customer population by introducing 3 products in the market. I hope you understood the way how it is done. So, look at the population mean and standard deviation and the segments mean and standard deviation, and then decide how many products will be the best thing. Again, what if I am going to have one product, what should be the architecture, if there are 2 products, what should be the architecture, that can be decided. Okay, so, finally, if they have products, then we will actually get it, suppose the number of slices. So, will they make the slice as a modular one, because if you have to offer 3 products in the market, we need to have a modular architecture for the product. So, number of slices we can have 2 and 4 as one module, one with a 2 slice module and one that 4 slice can be made as a module. And similarly, the cost can be a low cost and a high quality product. So, again that can be a module, so that the same platform can be used, and in one they can actually put low cost component, in one they can have high cost high quality components. So, you will get 2 products, and then size can be modular, again compact and not so compact. So, you can have 2 sizes and 2 the size of the product can be one and can be very compact, one can be not so compact. So, this can be assembled, and other modules can be assembled into this compact or not so compact structure. And finally, the toasting quality, they make everything uniform. So, because everyone is looking, though the one segment is not really looking for high quality, it is better to provide high quality, because they do not need to make it 2 modules. So, the single module they can make it, so they do not need to make it as a module 1, they make it as an unsharing. So, in all this it will be quality will be the same for all the products. So, this will be the suggested architecture for the toaster. So, we will be going for a modular architecture, except for the quality, which will be a unshared architecture. All right. So, we will take one more example, which is so the suggested models inexpensive, 2 slice, 2 4 slice and compact. So, you can actually have products like that. Okay, so inexpensive, 2 slice, 4 slice and compact. So, 4 products, I mean within this can have variants of the products to meet the customers requirements. Let us take one more example, which is actually for an instant camera. Most of you must have seen instant cameras, though it is not popular very much nowadays. It was very popular a few years back, and then again it is slowly coming back in the market. So, we look at the requirements of this camera and then see how the architecture can be decided. So, as we do the customer need analysis, needs and values, then the segments and distribution, and then look at the portfolio architecture. So, in this case we can identify 3 market segments. One is the laboratory users who will be using it for taking the photos of experiments or the output which is coming out of experiment. So, it is more of a scientific application. The other one is for the high end users who are ready to keep one for their home, and then they want to take it with them for very many professional kind of applications, and others are the household users. They are not very high end users, they are very, I mean they do not want to spend too much money on that, but still they would like to have something like that. That is the customer, the 3 segments of customers. So, we can actually look at these 3 customer segments and then identify the variation in their needs and values. So, we look at the needs. So, we will say that size, light adjustment, focusing, ruggedness, picture quality, filling pack capacity and the style. So, these are the customers needs, and we we will tell the customers that okay, look, we can actually provide you with a current price these features in the product, and we can provide you one for some $15 less and then $15 more, you will be able to get this kind of a feature. And ask the customer, okay, what actually your values will be. Now, if you say that size, would you like to have a very small one, big one with a size, a shoe box size, or you want a Walkman size, small one. Okay. So, if they can actually get the values. So, they know that if they have to go for this, they have to pay extra, and if they go for this, the price will be less compared to the existing one. So, that is the one. Then you get the value from the customer. Similarly, light adjustment only can be used only in daylight, it can have 3 settings, or it can be automatic, completely automatic. Again, when it is completely automatic, you have to pay extra for that. So, this way you will be able to get for this one focusing, can have fixed or 3 settings or automatic, ruggedness 1 drop, 5 drop or 10 drops. Then picture quality, fuzzy, current and 35 mm picture quality. Film pack capacity 5 exposure, 10 exposure, 20 exposure. Style is okay, current style, modern style and very outdated style. So, you are giving the options to the customer to say that okay, now this is what we can actually provide you, tell me what actually you want. Okay, for each one of these size, what is the size you want, what is the focusing, what is the light adjustment, what is the picture quality. So, like that you need to tell. So, this is what actually looking for. Now, if you do a survey and collect all this information, then you will be able to get the customer segments and the distribution. So, we know the segments, the 3 segments, and for each segment we will be able to get the distribution, the mean and standard deviation. So, if you assume that this information is given to you, so we are not going to see how to get all this information. You can see this will be the population mean and standard deviation, this will be for the laboratory users, and this will be for the high end users, and this for the household users. Okay, so, we can get this information. Now, based on this information you need to take a decision on what should be the architecture. So, you can take each one of these and then try to analyze it and then decide what will be the requirement of the customer. So, I will not be going through all these requirement, we will take 1 or 2 requirement then see how to analyze this. So, for example, you look at the focusing. So, we have this focusing, you can see that the laboratory users that is the segment 1, their requirement is 3 and 0, that the mean is 3 and 0. So, you can see this is the laboratory users. So, they are very clear what they want only 3, focusing is 3 and no other changes needed, okay, that is the only thing they are looking for. But if you take the population, you can see a large variation, the mean and standard deviation, I mean the mean is somewhere here, but the standard deviation is very large, sigma is very large. And segment 2, the segment 2 is this, their requirement is 4.6. So, they are very clear, this is 4.6, okay. So, this is the 4.6 they are looking for, and their sigma is around 0.8. So, you can see the this segment has a mean of 3, this has got a mean of 4.6, and this has got a mean of 3.9. So, you have a mean of 3.9 here. So, this is 3.9. Now, you need to decide what should be the, if you are offering a product, what should be the focusing you need to provide. Can you provide a single focusing, I mean single value for focusing, or you need to have different values for the focusing. So, the by looking at this, you know the population is 3.9, but if you provide 3.9, this segment will not be happy. So, probably you need to provide 1 for 3 for laboratory users, and probably the other one 3.9 or 4 may be satisfying these 2 segments. So, this is the way how you need to look at it. So, one product with 3.3 and probably the other one with 3.9 may be a good option. So, that is the way how you need to look at the distribution. So, if you similarly if you look at the filling pack capacity, you can see that this is the population mean, but then the segment means are completely different, each one has got a different mean, right. So, here you have 3, this is most close to 4, and this is 5. So, the filling pack capacity requirement is there is lot of variation between the segments. So, that is again, so each one of these we will be able to analyze like this and then get the distribution. Now, looking at all these, we can say that the size can be okay. So, let us look at the focusing. So, as I told you, focusing, you can have one fixed focus and one autofocus, because the fixed focus is basically for the laboratory segment, which actually they were looking for 3, and others are 4.6, 3.9. So, maybe you can actually provide one autofocus and one fixed focusing, that can be an architecture for the focusing part. So, you can make the focusing as a modular one, and one will be fixed focus and the other will be autofocus. So, if you produce a product, you can have this as a one module for the focusing. Similarly, you can see the light adjustment for filling pack capacity. So, filling pack capacity, as you can see, all the 3 segments are looking for 3 different capacities. So, that was the picture. Filling pack, one is for 4.8, one is 3, the other one is 3.5. So, better to provide 3 filling pack capacity for the product, that is why 3 model modular. So, you can have a 3 model modular one here. And picture quality, everyone is almost looking for good quality. So, you can have an integral quality for all the products. So, everything can be integral. So, you do not need to make it as a module. So, it can be throughout the product, that will be throughout the family, it will be the same. So, that is the integral one. Similarly, size also you can make an integral one, because everyone is looking for almost 3.5, 3.7 range. So, it can be common for all, the same size can be used, and few things like in this case light adjustment, focusing, then ruggedness, these things will be modular. So, you can have this as modules and you will be able to make the product. So, this is how we look into the customer segment values, customer segments and their distribution in order to decide about the architecture of the portfolio architecture. So, this actually talks about how do we decide the portfolio of a product. So, based on the customer needs and the distribution of these values of these customer needs across the population as well as across the segments, you will be able to analyze the variation of this requirement, and based on the architecture suggested, and the algorithm that we discussed, we will be able to decide what will be the portfolio of products and then what will be the portfolio architecture for the product. Okay, so that is about the portfolio architecture, about the family of products. Now, in the next class we will see how the individual products can be decided, or what the architecture of individual product can be decided based on the consideration of the portfolio as well as other aspects of providing the customer satisfaction. Okay, so we will stop here, we will continue this in the next class. Thank you.